Hello and welcome to the Best and Worst Pictures podcast. I'm your host, Jake, and with me as always my good co-host, Ian.
I'm Ian.
And joining us as per usual, my other equally as good co-host, Joe. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic.
Well, what is this show, you might ask? Well, every other week we sit down and watch a Best Picture winner, and we determine which one of the best or worst pictures as compared to the other winners. And this week we're talking about none other than the hit classic, which is, of course, the 34th best... 34th? 34th? 34th Best Picture winner ever, which is, of course, none other than the hit classic West Side Story, not the new one. And to start us off, Ian has collected some fun facts, which Joker and I have not heard about him. So, Ian, take it away.
So West Side Story was distributed by United Artists. It's directed by Steven Spielberg. Oh, no, wait, that's the wrong...
No,
I'm kidding.
That was a very planned
That
joke.
was good. It is 152 minutes long. Great. It released on October 18th, 1961. It has a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes for the critic score, 84% for the audience score. IMDb is 7.5 out of 10. And the Metacritic's 86. Budget was 6.75 mil. Box office 44.1 mil. The film is an adaptation of the 1957 Broadway musical of the same name, which in turn was inspired by Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet.
Classic.
All right. So I normally do the actor fun facts. The first one, not fun at all. The second one, slightly more fun. The third one, way more fun. We have to go in this bad order to good order. So this film stars Natalie Wood as Maria. She was in Miracle on 34th Street, 1947, Rebel Without a Cause, 1955, and Gypsy, 1962. Her singing voice in this movie is not her actual voice. It's the voice of Marnie Nixon. So I'm going to have to give you guys the abridged version of this story because it is pages long.
Cool.
So Natalie Wood died when she was 43 years old during the making of Brainstorm. It wasn't during the making, but they were on a weekend boat trip.
Mm-hmm.
Her husband, which I believe was Robert Wagner, and Christopher Walken were all out having a nice little boat trip on a weekend. She showed up super dead afterwards. It was supposed that she ended up flirting with Christopher Walken a little bit when she was married to Robert Wagner, and it's theorized that she drowned. She had bruises and cuts, and she drowned.
Okay.
So it's not confirmed that her husband killed her, but
it's not looking good.
It's really not looking good.
Welcome to
Wood
the True
and
Crime
Wagner,
podcast of hot quality content.
Yeah, Wood and Wagner ended up. It was stated that they argued earlier that evening too because of the whole thing. Wagner obviously denied it. Wagner in his memoir admitted it afterwards that they did argue earlier that day. She had a blood alcohol content 0.14, and there were traces of a motion sickness pill and a painkiller in her bloodstream, which both increased under the effects of alcohol.
Yep.
But later on, it was determined that there was no foul play. But in 2012, the death certificate, drowning and other undetermined factors was added on there, and it really isn't 100% known. One of the drugs in her system increases bruising, so it could have been because of that she had the bruising. It wasn't actually a scuffle, but it's a very, very big, long mess of bad things. And there's more bad things that were involved in this woman's life that aren't related to this, but I figured the death of her would be more. It happened a couple years after the filming of this, I believe. Not like super long.
Sure.
But now on a slightly lighter note, we're going to Russ Tamblyn as Riff. He was in Cimarron, 1960. Dracula versus Frankenstein, 1971, which that movie also has Lon Chaney Jr. in it.
Movie sucks. Go on.
Drive, 2011.
Movie does not suck. Go on.
Django Unchained, 2012. He is the
slaps.
son of a gunfighter in that movie.
Okay.
His singing voice is Tucker Smith. And then we have Rita Moreno as Anita. She's in Singing in the Rain, 1952. The King and I, 1953. Scooby-Doo and the Monster of Mexico, 2003. Rio 2, 2014. And, Jake, you said this wasn't West Side Story 2021. She's in it.
Oh, yeah?
Yep.
Nice.
In this one and that one. She also executive produced West Side Story.
It's a movie that came out in recent years, so that probably means that she comes out of a portal to help out the other Anita.
Nope, she's Valentina in that movie.
Not all the Anitas teaming up.
Her singing voice is Betty Wand.
Wow.
Really good. Like, there's actually really good stuff Good fun facts. So this movie is directed by Robert Wise. You guys may know him. He directed The Sound of Music.
Huh.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not talking about him anymore.
A movie I'm
because
far more infinitely excited
I am
for.
not talking about him anymore because we're going to be talking about him next time.
Yeah.
Tight.
I'm going to go into more stuff on him later because this movie was directed by 2 people.
Ah, that's always
Makes
good.
sense.
One of the only times this ever happened for an Oscar-winning film.
Mm-hmm.
This movie was also directed by Jerome Robbins. He's a theater guy. He's done no other movies. He's a theater production guy. He's the second director to win Best Director for a debut film. The dude who did Marty, Delbert Mann, also won for his debut film. He got honored by the Academy of Motion Pictures for his choreographic achievements for this movie. Fun fact, though, he got fired in the middle of this production. And we'll talk more about that later. But he literally didn't help with half this movie and still got an Oscar for it, which is kind of weird.
Yep.
But he has like 5 Tonys, 2 Academy Awards, like a Kennedy Center honor, a National Medal of Arts, the French Legion of Honor, 3 honorary doctorates.
So
Like he is stacked with pedigree.
when it comes to movies directed by multiple people, you mentioned that this is like one of the only times it's happened where it's won Best Picture. I'd argue that's because typically movies directed by multiple people suck.
Yeah.
Like not a duo. Like
I think the
whatever.
Coen brothers are the only other one.
Well, yeah, there's like duos like Wachowskis or Coens and stuff like that. But like if it's like one guy, fire him, the new guy, fire him,
No,
a new like
hey,
that's
hey,
crap.
So these guys worked.
Wachowskis is not a good example.
The Matrix
Some
is good.
Yeah. there.
So Robert Wise directed this whole movie, and they brought Jerome Robbins on for choreography because it's a musical film, and he's worked in theater his whole life. But they fired him halfway through.
Yeah.
So
Because like firing people halfway through means that the tone of the movie is conflicted.
Yeah.
Usually, a lot of the time.
yeah, oh for sure.
So we'll find out how this goes. Apparently, this is great. So we'll find out.
We have an extra actor/actress highlight. We're
Okay.
getting the rare 4 because this person was too fun not to talk about.
Oh no.
So, Marnie Nixon, the voice behind Natalie Wood's singing voice. She is the voice behind that.
Okay.
She's way more interesting than anybody else in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
She's in Cinderella. She narrates the movie. She's the singing voice. She's in Alice in Wonderland. She sings in that movie. The King and I sings in that movie. Mary Poppins, Mulan. And she's in The Sound of Music. I can't highlight her in The Sound of Music. I have 3 other people I'm already highlighting.
Okay. Sure.
The most important fact about this person is that her son is Andrew Gold. Now he's a musician. He's worked with the Linda Ronstadt band. But Andrew Gold is the dude who wrote and performed Spooky Scary Skeletons.
Oh.
That's her son.
God.
And that is one of the funnest facts that I've found doing this yet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like looking at her thing and I'm like, oh, her son has a blue name. What's he do? I'm like, musician. Cool. And I looked through and I was like, I'm sorry?
Mm-hmm.
Just very, very fun.
Yeah.
I had to highlight that.
Mhm.
And I'm doing a new segment on this, and it's just notable films that came out this year.
Sure.
I did it last time with, Psycho and
Yep.
shit. Yo Jimbo.
Are you to clarify notable films that did not get nominated for Best Picture this year?
Yup.
Okay.
Yo Jimbo.
All right.
Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Mm-hmm.
101 Dalmatians. The original Parent Trap film.
Cool. Okay.
All came out this year.
I've seen half of those.
I've seen everything but Yo Jimbo. Yo Jimbo is the Seventh Samurai
Yep.
guy. Kikuchiyo.
I've seen the Olsen Parent Trap, not that Parent
Yep.
Trap. So
I've seen both.
I've seen both Parent Traps. I've also seen 101 Dalmatians.
I've seen that too.
Yep.
I should say that.
I have seen Breakfast at Tiffany's.
And I have seen Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Yep.
So I've only seen half.
Joe Quinn, I've never seen the original Parent Trap. Is it better or worse?
It's actually worse in my opinion.
It's honestly worse, yeah.
Yeah, it's
the
worse
new
in my
one's more
opinion.
fun.
Yeah,
Really? Okay.
it has less fun. Like it's still creative and whatnot, but I think the new one's much more fun.
Yeah.
All right.
So we got some production notes. This is highly regarded as one of the best musical films ever made, actually, like by a lot of people.
Yep.
Some people consider it better than The Sound of Music, which is probably wrong, but we'll get there.
I do love Sound of Music.
So there is a character in this movie named Tony.
Did he win one?
No. Richard Bamer ended up winning that part. I didn't talk about Richard because he wasn't interesting.
Okay.
And actually, fun fact, Russ Tamblyn also auditioned for Tony and then got the part that he got.
Oh, that's good.
But other people that were going to be auditioning for Tony, Warren Beatty, Burt Reynolds, Richard Chamberlain, and Robert Redford.
Ooh.
A second movie in a row where Robert Redford, I believe, was getting...
Sure.
Reynolds was considered to be too tough. Chamberlain was considered to be too mature.
Okay.
So they axed those two. This guy ended up impressing them, getting the part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I already told you guys about Jerome Robbins. The executive producer wanted him because he did the play West Side Story, like for Broadway, and was like, "Oh, the choreography is amazing." They hired Robert Wise to direct because he's a good director, but didn't really have experience in the theater, so they wanted them to tag team, get a nice little duo there. Wise did all of the story elements, the dramatic elements, and Robbins did a lot of the choreography. After he got fired, Robbins, they did the remaining dance numbers with all of his assistants that they just kept for some reason. And Wise was actually the one that said, no, he should still get credit for like a half directorial credit because he kept in contact with Robbins via phone and like going out and whatever with
You
him.
know, it's kind of crazy. Like, real quick tangent.
Yeah.
Hollywood union rules. He would not get a co-director credit at all.
Oh, really?
No, you have to do 30 something.
No,
that's script.
No, it's way more than that.
Yeah.
Because remember in Solo,
Yeah, 70.
it was 90. It was 90%. You have to record more. You have to shoot more than 90% of the film in order to get the main director credit. That's why. Oh, who was it? It was the Spider-Verse guys.
Lord and Miller?
Yep.
Yeah. They only got like producer credits.
That makes
Ron
sense.
Howard got the main director.
That's probably why Snyder was the only credited guy on Justice League.
Yep, that's exactly
even though
why.
he didn't make a lot of that
That's
movie.
exactly why, because
Yep.
the movie was completely shot basically.
Yep.
It's just, you know, they for the HBO Max release they record stuff at the end, but that wasn't going to be there obviously.
Yep.
And you know, Whedon only did reshoots.
Yep.
So
Even though he did a lot of reshoots, it wasn't enough.
reshoots don't
so many
count for
reshoots.
that director
Yeah.
credit at all.
That's amazing. That's incredible.
So it's funny
wild.
how if this was released nowadays, like West Side Story was released nowadays, then
He would
not
just have
get-
a choreography credit.
Yeah,
Probably,
yeah.
Like that's what it would have been.
Yeah.
So he got fired because there was an unusual amount of injuries by the dancers. Like the choreography, oh beautiful. The dancers kept getting hurt. After 45 days of shooting, they were 24 days behind schedule. So
Okay.
they were already over budget, and
People
they went,
are getting hurt
"You're out."
consistently.
Yep. And they ended up giving him the credit. Obviously,
Good.
That's all the production notes. This movie's not interesting.
That's how it should be, though. Like,
Yeah.
if
People
you
should
could-
get hurt all the time.
No,
Yes!
yeah, it makes the film more interesting.
Yeah.
Realistic.
No, but like, if you fucking directed a film, even if you directed half of it, you should still get credit for it.
I agree,
Right, obviously.
but
Even Whedon should have gotten some sort of credit.
And a lot of that, like with modern screenwriting rules too, like there are situations where like you can contribute a lot to a script and not be a credited
is
writer.
it 30%?
I think it's 30.
Yeah,
think it's 30.
that's what I thought it was.
Yeah.
This movie got 11 nominations. It won 10 of them,
Oh.
including Best Picture, where it beat Fanny, Guns of Navarone, The Hustler, and Judgment at Nuremberg, which is supposed to be a really good movie. It won Best Director, Robert Wise and James Robbins. They beat Federico Fellini for La Dolce Vita, J. Lee Thompson, Guns of Navarone, Robert Rawson for The Hustler, and Stanley Kramer, Judgment at Nuremberg. It won Best Supporting Actor, George Chakri. Montgomery Clift, Peter Falk, Jackie Gleason, and George C. Scott all ended up losing. Rita Moreno won Best Supporting Actress for her role.
Okay.
She beat Faye Bainter, Judy Garland, Lot Lenya, and Una Merkel. Best Adapted Screenplay, it lost.
That's the one. That's
I
the
don't
one.
understand how you win Best Picture, but you're not the Best Adapted Screenplay.
Because the Academy is
Stupid.
funky.
Oh, God.
Judgment at Nuremberg won.
There's a lot. Okay. Well, I can answer that question a little bit because
Go for
I talk all the time about how like with the Academy's rules, they have the guys in that field make the nominations.
Okay.
So the screenwriters create the screenwriting nominations and stuff like that. But I used to think that they also voted. Everybody votes on every nomination. So when the 5 nominations in each category are announced, the whole Academy votes on all of them.
That makes
So
sense.
that makes more sense to me why some things would win here, but not best this, but best that, because different people are voting on who wins versus who creates the nomination.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So that it doesn't make it make sense, but I now see why that happens.
Okay.
So,
So Judgment at Nuremberg won, beating Breakfast at Tiffany's, fun, Guns of Navarone, The Hustler, and West Side Story. Score for a musical piece. Was it really going to lose? It won. It beat Babes in Toyland, Flower Drum Song, Kovashina and Paris Blues. It won Best Sound over The Children's Hour, Flower Drum Song, The Guns of Navarone, and The Parent Trap. Best Art Direction, Color. It beat Breakfast at Tiffany's, El Cid, Flower Drum Song, and Summer and Smoke. Best Cinematography, Color. It beat Fanny, Flower Drum Song, A Majority of One, and One-Eyed Jacks. Best Costume Design, Color. Babes in Toyland, Backstreet, Flower Drum Song, Pocket Full of Miracles. And Best Film Editing, where it beat Fanny, Guns of Navarone, Judgment at Nuremberg, and The Parent Trap.
Interesting.
I've seen One-Eyed Jacks. That's another one I've seen. It's pretty good. It's Brando is a cowboy in that one.
We do love Marlon Brando.
And what did it lose?
It lost Best Cinematography,
Oh,
Color.
okay. I mean, I had good color cinematography. What does even color cinematography mean? It's just cinematography, but it's color instead of black and white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's the same.
You have to separate
practice.
those.
Whatever.
So we have a couple fun award night notes. A New York City cab driver broke onto the stage and awarded Bob Hope a homemade Oscar that he made. Bob Hope, I believe this was his 13th time in a row hosting the Oscars. It was just really funny. Like that's a funny, charming story.
You said last year was the first year that it was put on ABC.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if there's footage of that, because I would actually
That'd be
like
cool.
to see that.
That'd be cool. And this is the first time two directors shared the award for Best Directing, Robert Wise and Jerome Robbins, a record that only was replicated in 2007. The Coen Brothers, No Country for Old Men.
I was about to ask which one beat it.
It was the Coen Brothers. That's why I said them earlier, because I remembered they existed.
Yep.
That's the only two production notes. This movie and the production and the award nights are all boring.
Oh.
But you know what's not boring? The Mary Pickford fact, because this one's actually interesting.
Woo!
So when she got married to her second husband, Douglas Fairbanks,
Hey, I know him.
Douglas Fairbanks bought a mansion for him and his bride-to-be, Mary Pickford.
That's nice.
Throughout the years, it ended up getting passed down and sold, but it was actually demolished
Oh, no.
for a really weird reason. So Pia Zadora bought the mansion and had it demolished. So in 2012, on season 4, episode 4 of Celebrity Ghost Stories, the real reason that she demolished Pickfair, they said it was for a termite infestation, was because there was a laughing ghost of a woman who allegedly died there while having an affair with Douglas Fairbanks.
Whoa.
Is what she said.
Holy Christ.
She told it on Celebrity Ghost Stories.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Imagine destroying Mary Pickford and Douglas Fairbanks' historical mansion because you think there's a ghost of a woman who fucked Douglas Fairbanks and she died.
That's logical.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Insane fun fact.
I would. That makes sense to me.
I told you guys I had some banger fun facts today. We got spooky, scary skeletons. We have Cinderella. We have destroying mansions because of ghosts. We have probably brutal murder. That's the least fun one.
Holy shit.
But we had some banging facts. That being said, the production notes really boring.
None of that matters. Do you think it's gonna be a good movie?
No, because the production notes were fucking boring. And when movies win for best cinematography, song, costume, and then like no best lead acting, no best no best adapted.
Yeah, the one it lost. Joker,
Like-
do you think it's gonna be a good movie?
No, and I'll tell you why. Because
Please.
I don't like musicals. One,
Ooh.
and
Firing in.
and two, I just haven't heard good things about West Side Story.
I have to second Joe Quinn's I don't like musicals. There's a couple.
Literally the only one that I'm
Sound of
excited
Music?
for is The Sound of Music.
Chicago slaps. The songs are good.
Chicago does slap. I've
The
seen it.
thing that I'm not excited about for West Side Story is I've seen West Side Story like a couple times. The West Side Story is The Outsiders with no fun and music. And it's
Great.
just not interesting.
I watched.
I don't like the script and the premise, so I'm not going to like the movie.
You know, I've never seen any West Side Story.
You watched The Outsiders?
Yeah, but until this year's Spielberg one, because it got nominated for Best Picture, so I watched that. That one is really, really bland. I mean, look, the directing is great. The camera work is amazing. I think it's going to win some technical shit.
I mean, it's a Steven Spielberg film.
But
Yeah,
like,
probably gonna
it's
be good.
not even in the conversation of being in one of the best movies of the year. It's not. It doesn't belong there with Coda and Dune and shit. That doesn't belong. Doesn't belong.
I feel that.
Whatever.
I am not excited. That being said, I have to go into it with an open mind. There have
Of
been
course.
months that I haven't been excited for that ended up being pretty good. but I know for a fact that I do not like the script for West Side Story because I don't like West Side Story.
That's fair.
So it's going to be, for me,
Mm-hmm.
looking at the technical achievement, looking at some of the acting, because it did win 2 supporting, so maybe they're really, really good.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
like,
We will find out.
Yes,
We're gonna
we
find
will.
out right away, actually.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
see you
let's
then.
get into it.
So we just watched West Side Story, not the new one, the old one. How are we feeling, guys?
I'm feeling not a lot of emotions right now, man.
Yeah,
I'm gonna-
same.
One second.
Oh, no.
Apathy.
So I have notes. I
Yes.
think all 3 of us didn't like it. So we should all just start with the things that we did like. Who wants to go first?
I'll start with my positive.
Okay.
The dance choreography isn't bad. It's pretty interesting. Very well choreographed. Everyone's doing things in rhythm. Flashy on screen. A lot of
Sure.
movement.
Sounds fun.
Jerome Robbins did a very good job making a theatrical piece with his choreography.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's it.
Music's good.
I don't particularly
You're out.
care
All
for
right.
music.
The
I
mu-
have some notes.
The music is good outside of it. How do I explain this? They're good songs. They're not good in this movie. They're good in everything else.
I think most of the solo singing is really bad besides Marnie Nixon, but the ensemble singing isn't as bad.
Mm-hmm. Well, these are just iconic songs. That's
Sure.
that's the thing. You can't really go that wrong with them.
I have 2, kind of maybe 3 positives. I don't know. It's
That's
like
good.
2.5, really.
Yeah.
The cinematography is really good. I like the way the camera moves. It's actually, I watched West Side Story, the new one, it was nominated for Best Picture. I watched all the nominees for Best Picture in the New
Yep.
Times. I think the cinematography in the new one is better than the old one. Cool social commentary. I
Yeah.
appreciate the fact that in the 60s, early 60s, like themes like these were kind of present. I'm not going to say developed super far or super well.
That's my thing. We'll talk
yeah,
about that.
well,
in a
I'm
minute.
sure we'll dive deep into that, but the fact that they're here at all, props.
Yeah.
And I like joke when you and I were saying earlier that we liked the music.
Yeah.
The songs in
Fine.
isolation,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
I particularly like one song. It's the song where they're like, "America's great, America sucks," and they contrast those reasons back and forth. That's a great song right
Mhm.
there. Kind of ties into the social commentary thing. That's it for positives.
My biggest thing, I want to talk about I want to go right off the bat. You said the theme. If the theme wasn't undercut by silly, funny, stupid songs and dances, this movie would be so much more any better.
I would agree completely with
Like-
that.
Yeah.
My problem isn't that the theme is what it is. I think the social commentary in the movie, it's there. Like it's so it's such a heavy, hard thing to talk about, especially in the 60s, that it being undercut with singing and dancing just makes me hate the movie.
I mean, I don't know. The dancing. Sorry, that's one of my notes.
Yep.
It's just, it goes on forever.
Yep.
You likened it to Climax. I see what you're talking about, although I would say the characters in Climax are more developed than fucking. I literally, I know Tony's name and Bernardo's name, and then Maria because they're the love triangle, right? 'Cause-
Tony, Bernardo, Maria, Anita, Riff, Ice, Arad,
Chinko.
Young Johnny, Chino,
Chino.
Schmerkel, which is the cop. I can do one more, but I can't do one more. Right
Pops.
now. Doc.
Doc. That's
Yeah,
his
but you
name.
didn't even remember. So, they are characters. It's the same problem I had where there were too many of them and none of them got much development. This movie, Romeo and Juliet, does a better job. Flat out right now. I hate Romeo and Juliet. Romeo and Juliet sucks. Shakespeare sucks. Super overrated. Maybe has 2 or 3 good stories out of all of them. Romeo and Juliet's not one of them. Romeo and Juliet's very shallow and lame. This does a worse job at Romeo and Juliet of doing Romeo and Juliet.
So
Because
yeah.
Romeo and Juliet has a small cast of characters. It focuses on Romeo, Juliet, Mercutio, Tybalt, the other Capulets names I'm just forgetting right now. It has maybe 6 or 7 people that it wraps around and goes through. It's more interesting character-wise than this. I hate Romeo and Juliet. I'm going to give it a positive right now. This movie has 30 dudes on each side or some shit. none of them are interesting and fleshed out except Tony, Bernardo, Maria, and maybe Anita.
Yeah, and even then, Maria has some big character problems that we'll get into
Yes.
later. But I want to talk a little bit more about you're talking about the theming. I want to stick with the dancing, dancing in this movie.
Yes, too much dancing.
Yeah.
The dance fighting really,
Oh my
really got me.
God.
I thought it would just be at the start.
No.
It is not just at the
I
start.
knew it was not just at the start, and I didn't say it on purpose. I have seen this movie when I was younger in 4th grade music class because it's a music thing. And personally, I remembered not liking it because A, it's very boring and there's just dance fighting and stupid. And granted, I was in 4th grade. I've also seen clips of this movie for a film class in college. I was older in college than I was in 4th grade. That's how life works. So I went into this knowing boring, bad, just like dance fighting and throwing everything out that's remotely interesting.
Yeah, they're all like a bunch of Jedi Knights since like nobody actually makes contact with each other and they all
Never.
go flying backwards. Like I'll kick like the air next to you and then like 5 feet away, Bernardo's like, oh, it's like what? Like it's not even like they're hiding because like in theater punches they have the guy in front of the other guy, so it looks as if it could have crossed.
Yep.
But this one they're shooting it like so they're on each side of the frame. So like here my hands are the guys. He'll go like bop, and the other guy goes ah. And it's like that over and over and over. And there are scenes where, like, multiple scenes where, like, some guy's going to run at him and tackle him and kill him. You know, Bernardo in the final fight has the knife. He's running at him and tackle him and kill him. And they do, like, that baby airplane thing where you put your feet up on the guy and they hold up the guy like, wee, I'm an airplane.
But he kicks up in the air and they do, like, the backflip thing. There's some like, and the choreography. I'm not going to fault it, but it's not. For a movie about the trials and tribulations of racism in a big city, whether it comes between the two gangs or the police with one of the gangs, it's wildly goofy, wacky, and takes away from it.
Mm-hmm. And I honestly think that if you didn't have such like weird, whimsical, funny, haha song and dances that kind of detract from it, you could honestly have a decent movie on your hands.
There is an interesting groundwork here, but the groundwork is built out of concrete, and then the house is a clown house.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And speaking of clown house, the acting is shit. It's way too campy. Like everybody's doing like the meh, see, meh.
Yes, but at the same time, we don't even really get to see them act out that much because it all gets cut by fucking song and dance numbers.
And it's all overdubbed.
So when we were saying when we were watching the movie that like something sort of maybe interesting could happen, but then instead of it treating it completely seriously, you did the clown house thing of making a fucking song and dance number, so you don't get to see these actors put their heart and soul in it as much as you could.
It feels very empty.
Hypothetically.
Despite being 2.5 hours long, this movie feels shockingly empty.
Yeah.
It does. It super does.
Yeah.
And there's another big problem too. Like, oh, you know, I'm anticipating the argument up against it. It's like, well, it's of the time. Well, loads of movies before this point that take place in the fucking 60s, The Apartment was last time.
Oh, yeah.
It didn't have a lot of the, yeah, see, you got to talk like this. Yeah, get on
It
the
had
streets,
some
the
of it.
sharks, the jets. Ah.
Yeah, there was like a couple characters that talked like that, but it wasn't every guy.
Oh,
No.
the cop guy, massive tear. Yeah.
Man, Shane.
I can't stand it. Like everybody talks like that, mostly the cop guy, and it severely detracts from me. Like I don't like humans don't act like this.
Yeah.
Why are you acting in a way that isn't the way that you are, which is a human fucking being? Like
I
it's
agree.
so weird.
No, fully. And I might just be saying this because I hate musicals. Musicals are so bad.
They can be good.
They can be good, but the majority of musicals don't use the music to advance the plot. They plot, music, plot. This movie felt like it lasted longer than it needed to. It felt like a waste of time and space and effort because every single interesting thing, like we've mentioned, gets intercut by music. Now, I don't personally enjoy most of the music because some of the singing's not very good, but when it boils down to the musicals that I think are more interesting, it's the ones that the music also advances the plot and shows us some character. There are only 2 songs in this movie that I think really do that. And it's the song that you were talking about towards the beginning, which establishes more of the theme, and one of the songs at the end. And I'm sitting here for every other song going, if you can just cut this from the movie because it has nothing to do with anything.
I really there are a lot of songs in here that you're absolutely right. You can just completely cut.
But then the movie would only be an hour long.
Yeah.
Oh
that's right.
no! Anyway,
That's not a theatrical release.
oh no. Anyway,
Still though, like I feel like there are songs in here that like I don't know what they like. Maria sings like full length song. It's like 3 or 4 minutes long about I feel pretty. I'm pretty. It's like Meghan Trainor's song I feel pretty, and it's like in the context of the story, what does that do for the character? The only thing that I can think is that she's so in love with Tony. Is his name right? Tony. Yep. She's so in love with Tony that like, oh hey, you know, I feel good all the time now.
but the thing, it's not that though. It's obviously not that. They're songs for the purpose of being songs.
Yeah.
That is their
That's
own.
the biggest
That
detractor.
is the only thing.
For
They're
sure.
not tied into the story.
Yeah.
At all, frankly. They're just put there to have song and dance numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And like I said, I only like the one song, which by the way did advance the plot.
Yes,
a little bit.
it's one of the two that did, and I do not dislike that scene. I'm sitting there and I'm like, wow, this adds some more of the theming that they established a little bit earlier.
It lays a lot of groundwork for later,
and then it sure does lay some groundwork that they waste and squander later.
Yeah, because like you're saying, the conflicting tone with like these heavy morals and themes, and then goofy songs and dances, and I'm gonna stab you, but I'm gonna jump while doing it and use my Jedi mind powers.
It's just, it fails at every single thing that it's trying to do because of how heavy the theming is. It's like we were talking about this with a different movie, that if you make a theme about like mental illness all fun and goofy, it's gonna take away from what you're talking about.
You said that if you're gonna do some serious like mental illness, dark subject matter, you have to earn it.
Yes.
This movie really didn't earn it.
This movie doesn't, talking about racism is a very heavy subject matter, and it shouldn't be. It should just be a normal fucking thing. But especially in the 60s, where it's like the height of right before the cusp of the civil rights movement.
So that's the highlights of the movie for me. Like
That's
the fact
what-
that that's existing.
That's existing, but then it's shit on by how funny and goofy everything is. And let's talk about it. We're talking about racism in this story. How sexist is this movie?
Pretty.
Yeah, I don't.
And it's not intended. You can't tell me, we're going to talk about the themes of sexism, because at the end of the movie, he goes, "You're a girl. Go do girl stuff. Get out of here, whore." Like, the whole
hold on.
fucking movie.
We'll get into the big thing with her learning that Tony killed her brother and all that shit.
No. I'm talking about Roundabout or whatever her fucking name was. Anybody?
Anybody's?
Who cares?
Multiple anybody's.
How, like, that whole thing, the whole fucking, "Oh no, I'm your big brother, you gotta listen to me because you're a little fucking goyle." Like, get out of here. You can't talk about one thing and then have the other thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it was just
Let me have my cake and appeal to old white men.
Yeah, it really wasn't addressed to the point where it could be like, developed upon.
Nope.
Whereas the race stuff actually kind of was starting to be developed upon, and then I think it really just fell apart.
It got squandered.
Oh, yeah,
It definitely
absolutely.
got squandered. They started with it
You
in that
could say
first
if any-
scene.
If anything, it got fucking hateful towards the end.
Yeah, with her showing up at the place, and they're like, I mean, I'm not to mince words, but it looks like they were gonna do like this big group of dudes that was like throwing this woman around. It looked more sus than it probably should have.
Yes.
I'm saying sus.
It looked more suspect than it probably should have.
Thank you.
I fully agree. I think that it misses the mark very much so. And it has the liar reveal thing you were talking about for Ben-Hur, where she lies about Maria being
that thing
dead.
from Romeo and Juliet, that plot point?
She lies about... No, the lie there is that they don't tell him that she took the slow heart poison, and then he kills himself, and then she kills herself. The lie here is Anita purposefully lying about Maria being dead.
Now, I don't know. This might piss you off, Ian.
I'm mad.
I think this is a little. I think it's better here because mostly it's played off as, "Wow, I almost got raped." Of course, I'm gonna fucking lie to these assholes.
She had no reason to want to help them in the first place, though, which is my big problem.
Exactly.
Because
so it makes a little more sense here, and then again, it's immediately turned around because he just goes outside and sees her anyways.
But like one of the biggest detractors for me here is that Bernardo dies and her brother, her sister, fucking his sister, sorry, gets sad for maybe a scene, sings a song, and then fucks Tony. Then his girlfriend gets mad, sings a song, and forgives. There's just so much singing and forgiving.
Maria learns that Tony murdered her brother literally like what, less than an hour ago.
Yep.
Like that just happened in movie time. She forgives him in like 15 seconds because
Well,
she's like, kill her. She's fine.
Jake, it's fine because they fall in love in 13 seconds anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone just has really quick emotions in this world. We have to
Maria-
suspend our disbelief.
She more than once doesn't care about grief.
Yeah, keep in mind that this happened
Within a course of less than 24 hours about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then so
Wow.
she forgives immediately. Then they sing about how in love they are after she learned that and then it's implied that they have sex right there and then.
Yep.
In that
And then
moment.
her and Anita sing a song about how in love they are too.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, the mom initially was correct-minded saying, bro, he killed your brother.
Not
AKA
the mom,
my
that's
kid.
her friend.
Sorry, not the mom. You're right, the friend. She's like, bro, she killed Bernardo, or he killed Bernardo, I should say. Why the fuck are you sleeping with him? You're so
And then they
stupid."
sing together, and then she goes, "No, you're right."
Yeah, she
You're right.
convinced her that she's like, actually, you know what? He's not that bad. Go save him. Like, come
It's
on.
so bad. It's so bad.
Oh my god. Oh,
Every
man.
scene is so long.
Yeah, dude, the dancing scenes are too long. The dialogue scenes are too long.
The
singing,
only scenes that aren't too long are the important ones.
Yep.
Because they get undercut by the scenes that are too long.
dude, I'd say the important parts of this 2.5 hour movie are like less than 30 minutes.
Yeah.
The rest is all just
Womp.
like lovely little fluff. It's oh my god.
It's just, I have my pros and cons list. I wrote down, I like the dance choreography, and then the cons is everything else. Because I don't even like the cinematography very much because of that. Remember that one shot where her and Tony first see each other at the club? And the scene
Why
is
did you
like,
say it like
the
that?
scene is like blurry for no reason.
Dude, I hate
It's
that.
so bad. There are some actual good shots, but there are also some dog shit shots in
Yeah,
this movie.
that was like that was the big detractor. You also have like some weird fucking stylistic choices, like having a city scan for like almost 9 minutes.
And then the rear projection. Yeah, baby.
You want to talk about stylistic choices? It's not a rumble, it's a duel at first.
Yeah.
It's just two dudes
Oh,
banging it
yeah.
out,
Yeah.
which is really funny to say out loud.
No,
but to me, it's like Bernardo objectively lost that duel. There was a clear intervention before he actually killed that guy because he had Bernardo like dead to rights and he was stopped.
Yep.
And then Bernardo was like, oh, bet somebody stopped him. I'll go kill him. And
Yeah.
then that caused the rage. And it's like, I don't know what the moral of the fight was.
Oh, there's
There's none?
none.
Morals are not in this film because you probably shouldn't fuck the people that kill your family, and you probably shouldn't forgive them immediately,
Probably
and you
shouldn't.
probably shouldn't fall in love with a man in 13 seconds.
Yeah.
Those sound like beat for beat problems with Romeo and Juliet. Am I crazy or? But
Jake,
yeah.
You know, you've watched The Outsiders with me. Hell, we watched it on the channel. How much better is The Outsiders than this?
The Rumble was a Rumble.
Infinitely better.
The Rumble
They
had
took-
physical
Hey,
contact.
you guys watched Romeo and Juliet for the channel?
Oh my God,
we
we did. Yeah, but we watched way worse from Romeo and Juliet. Let's be clear.
Would you rather watch that or this again?
That it's shorter and it has charm of bad but funny for the first 30 minutes.
Ian, I hate that version. I might pick West Side Story.
It's shorter. Romeo plus Juliet's shorter.
Still though,
It has Link from The Matrix. Come on,
like I don't know.
the freeway
man.
sir. So my
Shut the fuck.
yeah.
You guys ready to just give this fucking ranking?
No, I want to talk about the script of West Side Story being inherently flawed because you took the idea of Romeo and Juliet, which is already lame, and then you made it worse. And on top of that, there's another adaptation of West Side Story, being The Outsiders, that handles the gang stuff well, handles the love story better, and handles everything else well, because they actually grieve and have characters, and it's not 30 of them. It focuses on a small collective group that's really close and tight-knit.
Mm-hmm.
They make a big point at the start of the movie about being like this awesome, badass gang that controls
They don't
the streets.
do anything.
They don't do anything.
They don't.
Dude, all they do is dance and snap. They walk down the streets doing this and then like throw their buddies around like, hey, woohoo, boop-a-doo,
Yep.
boop-a-doo. Like that's their gang.
Dude, every teenage girl theater troupe by this logic is a gang.
Yeah, but like what the hell kind of like gang activity are they getting up to?
They're
Like,
going to friendlies and annoying me mid-meal.
No, to be fair, to be fair, Maybe this is what, like, 1960s gangs.
I
look
can
like.
assure you it wasn't.
Bro, what era was Al Capone?
What about like Whitey Bulger and shit? Whitey Bulger was more recent, actually. Al Capone and shit. Like
Teenager gangs, bro.
teenager gang. All right, you know what teenager gangs did? Violent crime.
He's right.
They
Like,
robbed stores at knife point and shit. Like
to me, like, why is the cop even getting mad at the start of the movie? They're just dancing down the street. No one's actually getting hurt.
conflict for the sake of conflict.
Oh my god.
The cop has no reason to do anything. You know, the character doesn't need to be in the film. The only reason the cop is in the film is to show racial tension, which they already do.
Why would the cop be mad about dancing and
it's not the
snapping?
racial tension between the two gangs. It's the racial tension of the establishment versus the people of the city. But it still never gets expanded upon because the movie's too busy fucking singing and dancing.
Mm-hmm.
The cop has no reason to get mad at the gangs because they weren't gangs. They were just a dancing.
The only time they were actually gangs was when they got fucking stabbed each other.
Yeah, even then, it's like it was
dance
handled
fought.
in a really weird way because like they were very like. I don't understand why they were so like diplomatic. Like, oh, let's organize our crime of dance fighting, and oh, let's just organize and get in this bar and like we're all gonna be civil and like normal and respectful here to say there will be a rumble, sir. Let us meet in exactly
the
a week
Rumble.
from Tuesday.
I cannot make it to the
I
rumble.
cannot make it to the rumble today. I have to go to this place, and then we'll meet there. And what are our weapons we're gonna bring? It's like
My dad says I can't go to the rumble.
like, can you imagine like if like real countries were like, all right, so how are we gonna fight? We're gonna do this.
Well, right now there is diplomatic talks between multiple countries at war.
Yeah, but
It's
they didn't
currently
start
going
that
on.
way. Russia just went for Ukraine.
Yes,
they just were at the throat, you know? Like that's real life because why would you start like discuss how you're going to attack them?
I'm hoping this conversation gets immediately dated and the war ends.
By the time this uploads, like
Yeah.
there's no more war. I mean, I don't know. It might be worse.
Would be nice.
It'd be nice, but you're thinking in a world of ideals.
Would be nice.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be nice? I'm
Tying it
sorry,
back
was
to
I
the-
singing during a serious moment? My fucking bad.
All right, well, we got to wrap this up. I'm out of notes.
I have 2 pages of notes, and it's mostly about how dumb the movie is.
Yeah, okay. So my rating is a 1 out of 10. This is not the worst movie I've seen so far. I still think Hamlet is worse.
GG, bro.
Oh, yeah, that's right, GG. I forgot. Oh, man, you remember me, GG. Thanks.
Thanks,
welcome.
Heaven for little girls.
So yeah, GG. Best movie. You know what? Can I have a tie? We can Casablanca in an apartment. I'm doing it.
If you want to cop out, yeah, but I don't.
You
blame
have to pick one by next time. Same thing that happened to me.
There we go.
All right, you have 1 week
Got 1 week.
You have 1 week.
or
One
2 weeks.
week.
I'm not sure about the upload schedule yet.
Oh
but
yeah,
maybe.
that's fair. You have 2,000 weeks.
We have weeks. 1 week.
Well, this one it's probably a 0. I'm not gonna lie. Like, listen, I hate giving out zeros. This is only the 3rd 0 I've given on the Best and Worst Pictures podcast. I've given out a lot of 1s,
Really?
2s, and 3s though. Yup,
I feel
this is
like
only
you've
my
given more
3rd 0.
Oh yeah, he showed me his list.
I showed you the list.
I feel like I've
Hamlet,
given way
GG, and West Side Story.
Wow.
The only reason I'm giving this a 0, I want to explain myself, is there are aspects of this film that are positive. I think the dance choreography is really good, and I think half of the cinematography is good. The half of the cinematography that's good immediately gets canceled out by the bad half of the cinematography. And the dance choreography being good is immediately canceled out by, God, I am so fucking bored during the 53,000 minutes of dancing. They drop the ball so hard on all of the theming. They drop the ball with the script not being remotely interesting. They drop the ball on having too many characters. They drop the fucking ball. This has the foundation of a film that could have been really, really well done and themed and been this big, impactful thing about race and just how the city and the environment that you're in eats someone alive and changes the way you think, and how sometimes it takes a tragic event to really unify someone. There is a beautiful, amazing story here. That being said, West Side Story, the play, and that being said, West Side Story, the film, absolutely gets rid of it and takes it out by sucking balls the entire time. There is amazing groundwork here, and it was ruined by the person who wrote the play, whoever the fuck you are, and it was ruined by the scriptwriters of this movie completely just adapting it instead of trying to enhance it.
I would agree with almost every part of what you just said. I'm gonna give it a 1. I really do, again, like the social commentary and the cinematography and all that stuff, and those elements really would make a stronger movie were it not bogged down by itself, the own movie eating itself alive with all this stupid like treating the subject matter as if it like is like this funny kooky thing and undermining any serious moments you did have originally in the movie. This is one of the weakest best pictures. It is not one of the absolute bottom tier worst ones, though. I've given some zeros on this show as well.
Yeah.
I've given my fair share.
Yep.
And I would say that this is better than, like, fucking what, Hamlet or whatever. I think I give it a 1. But
It's
this is
better
still
than Hamlet and Gigi.
Yeah, it's better than those, I think, by a mile.
Fun fact, Gigi, also a musical. Wow, why do I not like it?
Yeah, but Gigi was, like, pedophilic. That was not,
Yes!
that was not a good thing.
No, not at all.
But,
Yeah.
no, we're already done. That
Yeah.
was, like, what was it, the fastest one?
Yeah, I think so.
It's only the fastest one because listen, the movie's not long, but there's no content.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's like
no
nothing
content.
here.
There's straight up no content. In
Like,
this film.
once you get the points out, like, oh, hey, this was strong, but everything else was bad because of this and that, we're done. Like,
Yeah.
there's no other, like,
Because
we
the
can't
whole-
analyze anything.
Every scene in this movie has the same problem.
Yeah, and it just continues throughout, and it's really long and annoying.
Yeah. It genuinely. A lot of different movies that we've reviewed so far have had different problems during different scenes and then different positives during different scenes. Every single scene in this movie has the same problem and has the same benefit.
More or less, yeah. I mean, I completely agree.
Yeah. And it feels, you know what? Remember how I said that Robert Wise directed the non-musical parts and Jerome Robbins directed most of the musical parts? God damn, does it show.
Yeah, it does.
It shows because the non-musical parts have some moments of interest, and then the second they hand it over to the theater guy instead of the actual director, ruins it.
Yeah. Look, the moral of the West Side Story is that I can't wait for Lawrence of Arabia, which is next. So, yeah,
Same.
I'm just there. That's where my head is at right now.
Guys, my favorite is Bridge on the River Kwai. My least favorite is Gigi.
Joken, you already said yours. I guess I just leaves me to drop my phone, but also pull up my list. I'm pretty sure I ranked it when I was there. My favorite, is it still the same one? Is it still River Kwai? I don't know, man. Let me look. Oh, I have it open. All right, my favorite is River Kwai. Yep. Lost Weekend is second. Apartment is third, which is the last one we watched. And my least favorite is Cavalcade because it's Cavalcade. It's fucking abomination. There's nothing there. There's no thing in the movie.
A lot of B-roll.
Lots of B-roll, baby.
Lots of B-roll.
I hate it. So yeah, catch you guys next time for Lawrence of Arabia. Allegedly a fucking banger.
I have some fun facts for that one.
Is it the blackface?
It's technically brownface.
I have
Oh,
facts.
boy.
I have less facts.
He has factual statements about Lawrence of Arabia.
Oh,
All right.
God.
That'll
See
do
ya.
it. See you next time.
Love you guys.